بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين محمد المصطفى خاتم النبيين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطاهرين الطيبين الأجمعين أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى جل جلاله في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير صدق الله مولانا العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله. Highly respectable my audience, we are here to celebrate the auspicious day of Ascension of Nabi Kareem Alayhi Salam. Ascension means Miraj. Miraj can be interpreted as ascension. This night is ascension night. Quran says, Subhanallazi asra bi abdihi. All of the glorifications are that person who took his beloved banda, beloved slave on the recreation trip or excursion trip. Min al-Masjid al-Harami ila al-Masjid al-Aqsa, which was started from the mosque of Mecca Sharif and up to the mosque of very remote in the Baitul Maqdis Sharif. This word can be pronunciated as Maqdas, Baitul Maqdis Sharif, or Al Baitul Muqaddas. When you say Al Bait, then you can say Al Muqaddas, Al Baitul Muqaddas. When you say Bait, then you will have to say Maqdis, Baitul Maqdis. Allazi barakna hawlahu, the total environment of which is full of the blessings of Allah. لِنُرِيَهُ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا, the main purpose of the excursion trip is just to show him some signs of my secret. لِنُرِيَهُ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا إِنَّهُ. So this is an answer to understood question. When there was no moonlight, because it was 27 night, and it was night, there was no sunlight, or moonlight. So what is the meaning of the excursion trip when nothing is visible which is to be enjoyed from? So Quran says, Innahu, verily that person is of hearing and of seeing, or the person who took him to the excursion trip, he is all hearing, and of seeing. Means what you are raising the objections. I am listening and I am seeing. Means it means that I shall take you to task. The end of the verses of the Holy Quran is independent in science. It is from the necessity of commentary on the Holy Quran. The commentary on the Holy Quran, whether technical commentary or the transmissive exegesis, in both of the cases, the end of the verses of the Holy Quran are from the necessity of commentary. So here, As-Sami and Al-Basir can be referred to Nabi Kareem as well, that he is not in need of any sunlight or moonlight, because his eyes are not in need of their lights, but the light of Nabi Kareem which are to be resorted to for by the moon and sun, or otherwise many objections were raised about the ascension of Nabi Kareem. Allah says, I am of hearing and of seeing, means I shall take you to task. This is the meaning of Innahu huwa Samiul Basir, or this is emphatic sentence, means it was only he, Nabi Kareem, who was to listen the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he was talking. No one else was sharing that talk, that conversation. And when something was to be visited, the vision of Nabi Kareem was not shared by any prophet or any angel. He was all alone. They were both all alone. No one thought as a partner of the listening or seeing the situation, enjoying the sceneries. Sceneries were visited by Nabi Kareem and conversation was enjoyed only by Nabi Kareem. So this is called Ascension, Miraj Sharif. It was attempted in the 27th night of Rajab Sharif, and it was the middle of the 11th year of the prophethood of Nabi Kareem. But when he had passed the boycott of Hijrah in Shab-E Talib, Shab-E Talib was afforded by Nabi Kareem, and in that year, Hazrat Abu Talib had also passed away, and the most sympathetic to him was Hazrat Qadir al-Kubra. He supported with his money, with his body, with his energy, In every respect, she supported Nabi Karim Sallallahu. She did not spare anything from the mission of Nabi Karim Sallallahu, since she was very, very rich person in Hijaz. In Hijaz area, no one was there to be compared with Janabi Khadir Kubra in respect of money. Only the Shahan Iran were in position to be equalized in respect of money. In Hijaz, no one was there to be compared with her. She spent all of the money, his house, his household affairs, his domestic facilities, all of the things she sacrificed for the mission of Nabi Karim Sallallahu. She also passed away in that very year when these two stake posts were to be resorted to for him. Then he thought that he was all alone. Then he requested Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him permission to migrate from Mecca to Medina. But here, when all of the difficulties besieged Nabi Karim Sallallahu and all of the infidels converged there to torture Nabi Karim Sallallahu, at that time he was dignified, he was blessed with the bounty of Miraj Sharif. It means that when all of the problems and difficulties and adversaries besiege a person in the way of Allah, that time is really a time of popularity in the court of Allah. Ascension was made when the calamities and disasters were on the climax. It means that a Muslim should not be worried about the difficulties, about the problems, because the attack of problems is a time of the pleasure of Allah. At that time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dignifies a Muslim. Khooon ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਬਿਸਰ ਦਾ ਤਾਜ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ. Mia Sahib Arfe Khadi Rahmatullah says, ਖੂਹਾਂ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਮਿਸਰ ਦਾ ਤਾਜ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ. ਗਿਲਾ ਕੀ ਫਿਰ ਦੁੱਖ ਆਜ਼ਾਰ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਦੁੱਖ ਚੱਲ ਤੇ ਮੂੰਹੋਂ ਨਾ ਬੋਲ ਮੰਦਾ ਹਰਫ ਆ ਜਾਈ ਮਥੇ ਯਾਰ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਤੂਰ ਮਕਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੁਫ਼ਤਗੂ ਦਾ ਸੌਦਾ ਜੁੜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਦੇ ਦਾਰ ਤੇ ਵੀ. This is a gist of the poetry of Imam Muhammad Sahib Rahmatullah. But this poetry is by a person, he was class fellow of Muhammad Ali Jinnah Marhoom, and he was student of Aligarh College and resident of Jhelum. Mia Sahib Rahmatullah says that ਸਿੱਪਾਂ ਅੰਦਰ ਮਾਣਕ ਮੋਤੀ ਮੁੱਦਤ ਕੈਦ ਕਰਾਂਦਾ ਕੈਦੂ ਕੱਢ ਨਵਾਜ਼ੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਮੁੱਲ ਤਰਾਂਦਾ. So it means that the besieged by the difficulties and problems and adversities, that is a time of the dignity of a person by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah dignifies. When Joseph was in problem, he was thrown in the well, and after that he was arrested by the caravan, and they sold him in the market, and that he was slandered by Zulaikha, and a fabricated case was proved against him, and it was clear to the ruler of the country that Hazrat Joseph, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him, he was completely innocent. But the criminal person was on the throne and the innocent person was in the jail. ਖੂਹਾਂ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਮਿਸਰ ਦਾ ਤਾਜ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਗਿਲਾ ਕੀ ਫਿਰ ਦੁੱਖ ਆਜ਼ਾਰ ਤੇ ਵੀ. He did not make any complaint in the court of Allah when the problems and adversities and difficulties was in the climax. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Joseph alayhi salatu wasalam with the prophethood as well, with the kingdom of Egypt as well. So the ascension of Nabi Kareem was attempted when he was really in the besiege of adversities and problems. And Nabi Kareem says that I was ascended from my home. And the other tradition says that Nabi Kareem said, I was ascended when I was in Hatim. Hatim is a semicircle which is on the north side of Kaaba Sharif. That was a building on this very foundation at the time of Ibrahim al-Salam. But when Kaaba Sharif was reconstructed under the presidentialship of Abu Jahl, since he was very, very bad person on account of his madness, the material could not comply with the condition. Therefore, that part was separated by means of just demarcation. That is called Hatim. And as Nabi Kareem said, I was ascended to sky by the angels when I was in Hatim. And then he says, I was ascended when I was nearby the spring of the well of Zamzam. And another tradition says, I was ascended from the home of Sayyidah Hani, the real sister of Janab Haidar Qarar. These are different statements. How can we reconciliate them? So reconciliation is really a maidan, a field of the knowledge. Field of knowledge can be checked at the time of reconciliation. All of these traditions are reliable, authenticated, and authenticity of any one of them cannot be rejected. So when all of them are accurate, reliable, authenticated, and they are different from each other, how can we put them together? We can say that first one, Nabi Kareem says, I was ascended from my home because Nabi Kareem was saying the home of Sayyidah Hani was my home because the home of Janabi Sayyidah Hani was in the Shab-E-Miraj when the days of boycott they spent and stayed there. So since the home of Sayyidah Hani was in the Shab-E-Miraj, so these two traditions reconciliated with each other, and from that house I was brought to Hatim. So the tradition of Hatim was also right, and then I was taken to Abu Zamzam. So all of them were put together. There is no difference. And as the Nabi Kareem said, I lie down there, and Gabriel opened my thorax. The body from upside of the waist is called thorax. The chest of Nabi Karim was opened from the last part of the throat up to the navel or near beneath the navel, and his heart was taken out. All of the people who are believing that Nabi Karim was just like us, they should give the chance to the doctors without attempting any medical precautions. The precautions, medical precautions should not be attempted as Nabi Karim was behaved to. And my heart was taken out and it was put in the tray of gold. What is the coordination between heart and gold? Gold tray. Shab Abdul Qadir writes in Madarijun Nabuwat, Shab Abdul Qadir was first person to bring all of the sciences of tradition from Hijaz Sharif to the land of India. Subcontinent India was populated by education, and education was spread in different corners of India by means of Hazrat Shah Abdul Qadir Delvi. He wrote a book on the subject of Seerat, the history with the good qualities of Nabi Karim Sallallahu. Seerat is not history, but all of the aspects of the illuminating and shining aspects of the character of Nabi Karim Sallallahu was collected by Shah Abdul Qadir. That science is called Seerat. Madarijun Nabuwat is book of Seerat. He writes there, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Nabi Karim Rassam's heart were put in the gold, in the golden tray, because gold is a metal which, if it is buried in the ground, after 100 years, you take it out back. You take it back, there is no change in the shiningness of the gold and weight of the gold. The earth cannot eat it. Similarly, Nabi Karim Rassam says, it was totally prohibited for the ground, for the soil to eat the bodies of Anbiya alayhi, since these two things are very near to each other, coordinating with each other, as the gold is not eaten by the earth. Similarly, the body of the Prophet is not eaten by the earth. This is coordination between these two bodies. And up to that time, all of the metals discovered up to that time, it was most precious metal. Similarly, the heart of Nabi Karim was most precious according to Allah. The two items which were most precious according to Allah, they were put together. This was the main reason of putting them together. Then, as Nabi Karim says, I was given the bath and I had to change my clothes, and that clothes were brought from the paradise. It was fitted. They was fitted on the body of Nabi Karim Sallallahu, and then he mounted on the Burak. Burak was taken from the word of Bark. Bark means electricity. This is a principle of philology and morphology. When an adjective is there and you take another word from it and you add the letters in the original word, then according to the addition of the letters, the meaning will also be added. increased. It means that the electricity is not so quick as Burak because it was putting its hoof up to the end of its eyesight. The place which was approachable by its eyesight, it was first step there. All of the people who say that we are Nabi Kareem Sallallahu, just like Nabi Kareem Sallallahu, they should come together and converge their partisans and sit down on the heavy kg and check themselves as a human being. If they sit there, their fuse, their body would be fused and will finish. It would be proved that they are not like Muhammad Mustafa. He was matchless, and this Burak was not used for the fetching of any other prophet, and no prophet was invited, no prophet was convened by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the prophets were trying to go there, but Allah did not ask them to come. This was first prophet who was convened, who was invited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to join his company in the loneliness. तूर और महराज के किस्सा से होता है अयां, अपना जाना और है उनका बुलाना और है. The invitation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is totally different in status than the person who goes himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when he mounted on the back of the Burak, Burak was in respect of height, it was little bit lower than a mule. The word of mule is used in tradition, and it was little bit higher than the donkey and very long. And the person who are riders, they can easily understand that the horse, which is very long, is very quick in the race. So the conveyance sent to Nabi Kareem Sallallahu was in every respect very perfect. First of all, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu says this tradition is in Muslim Sharif. Ataitu ala qabri Musa wa huwa qaimun yusalli fi qabri. Ataitu ala qabri Musa in the Qasib al-Ahmar, when there was no moonlight, no sunlight, in the darkness, the color of a land cannot be checked. Nabi Karim said, I reached to the shrine of Moses, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him. And up to now, the Jews don't know where the shrine of Hazrat Moses, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him. When his followers don't know where his shrine is, so Nabi Karim was clairvoyant. Therefore, he knew the body of Hazrat Musa as well, the shrine as well, the color of the land as well. In the Qasib al-Akbar, that was a peak of the mud with a red color. And Moses, may grace and peace Allah be upon him, was standing there and doing the prayer. So we can easily check that is there such enough place where a man can stand. It came to be known that Nabi Kareem Rasul said, when a believer passes away and he is put in the shrine, and his shrine is extended, becomes very commodious up to the reaching of his eyesight. So that is correct, because Musa was easily in position to stay, to sit or stand up, or move here and there. But he was doing the prayer. It means that prayer is so much attractive liturgical activity, devotion of Allah, that the Prophet after death they cannot neglect it. So all of the Muslims who are listening my lecture, they should be strictly abiding by the prayer of five times every day in correct time. But there is a question whether he would be rewarded. Sahib Subul Salam, the Abdul Aziz Egyptian scholar, he is very great research scholar. He says that the prophets, ibadat, devotion, or liturgical activities attempted by them in the shrine, would they be rewarded by it? They say that it is not rewardable. When that worshipping is not rewardable, then why they are doing? They are not doing for the reward, but they are just to enjoy, just to do it for enjoyment. They are enjoying the devotion in the prayer. Awliya Allah and Anbiyaullah, they do their prayer and enjoyed the devotions. It means that it is very delicious. This is why the holy persons, they are abiding by the devotion in the graveyard as well. But why Nabi Karim went to the shrine of Hazrat Moses, the grace and peace of Allah be upon him? Allama Zurqani writes, this was the first step after departure from Mecca, because this was a holy place, Muqamate Muqaddasa, sanctuaries, holy places, where the shrine of Allah are just sitting place, which is called Batik, abode. They have been living there. They are holy places. They can be termed as sanctuaries, just like in the Safa wal Marwata min Sha'ir Allah. Safa and Marwa, they are not Qibla Sharif, not part of Qibla Sharif. They are just a place for racing, for jogging of Janabi Sayyida Hajra. She was just jogging because she was in search of water for her son. And since there were two small hillocks, and you were trying to climb up the hillocks just to check from the height whether there is any sign of water, because the communication of the birds or communication of the animals to a place is a sign of the existence of the water. When she checked from the height of the Marwa, she found that there was no sign of any water. Then she jogged towards Safa. When she reached there, she looked at her son as well, because it was neglected. No one was there to look after him. She was anxious to keep an eye on him as well. So she saw that it was just rubbing the heels on the ground. She thought that he was wriggling. She heard there. When she came there, there was water jumping out, coming out of the earth. It was an answer to our question. O Sayyida Hajra, when you are in search of any bounty of Allah and you are walking in the valleys, on the peak of the mountains, and you do your best, and you can't find them, you should come to the feet of the prophets. You will get there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna Safa wal Marwata min Sha'illah. Safa and Marwa are from the signs of Allah. So look, it is neither Kaaba nor a component part of Kaaba, but just a separate place, because Janabi Sayyida Hajra just has been jogging between these two hillocks for the mission of the Prophet. So that was declared to be sanctuaries. Similarly, the persons who lived in the in the in the tribes for the prayer of Allah, and they have been very submissive and very obedient to the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their divine duties were very perfect. So their places were declared to be sanctuaries. These are the sanctuaries. So sanctuaries are respected. Therefore, in the journey of Miraj Sharif, Nabi Karim firstly went to the sanctuary of a prophet, and after that, Allama Zurqani Rahmatullah alayh makes a commentary on Maibul Dunya. Maibul Dunya is a book of Sirat. Fundamentally, it was written by Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti, but it was stolen by Imam Kastalani, and he attributed that book to himself. And Hazrat Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti filed a case against him when Imam Kastalani was summoned to the court. He said, "This is my book." Then Hazrat Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti says, "I wrote such and such references. I quoted such references. Those books are not available by anybody else. If that book is yours, please, you must quote another reference from that very book." So at that place, Hazrat Imam Kastalani failed. Therefore, he confessed that he had stolen the book, and after that, he barefooted walked from Castellan to Cairo to make him please, and knocked at the door. He said, "Mananta, who are you?" He said, "Castellani." He did not open the door because he was very much annoyed. So this is the background of that book. So that commentary was written by Imam Zurqani, very great research scholar. He says that after that he took Nabi Karim Sallallahu to Tur in the cave where Moses, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him, used to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that place was very good for worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Since he stayed there 40 nights, so that was a very good place, because that was abode of a prophet, Kalimullah, who was talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَنُودِيَ مِنْ شَاطِئِ الْوَادِ الْأَيْمَنِ فِي الْبُقْعَةِ الْمُبَارَكَةِ مِنَ الشَّجَرَةِ أَنْ يَا مُوسَى إِنِّي أَنَا اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. When he was going back home in Egypt after getting married from the house of Hazrat Shab al-Islam, Hazrat Shab al-Islam's two daughters were married to two brothers, one to Hazrat Moses, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him, and Hazrat Harun al-Islam was elder brother, but he was subordinate to Musa al-Islam because he was the prophet and he was subordinate Prophet as a Naib. And when they reached in Wadi Tuwa, there is a valley which is called Tuwa. He asked his family, along with the goats and sheep, to stay there, along with Harun al-Salam, and went there. He, saw, he said, I is Kalali alayhim kusu inni anastu narullah ali atikum mina bi kabasin o ajdu Allah nari uda. I have seen the flame of the light, flame of the fire. I go there. The fire does not burn itself, but there must be some person who must have lit it. Therefore, he walked when a few steps there, went there, then Wanudiya min shatil wadil aymane. So it was announced that you are coming towards fire. That is not fire. I am your Lord, your Khuda, your Allah, which you are worshipping. وَنُودِيَ مِنْ وَادِلْ مِنْ شَاطِئِ الْوَادِ الْأَيْمَنِ فِي الْبُقْعَةِ الْمُبَارَكَةِ مِنَ الشَّجَرَةِ from the tree. The tree is which is called fig, teen. The announcement was made from the tree of teen, fig, that I am not fire, I am your Lord. Here Rumi Rahmatullah Alayhi says, Chun rawa bashad anallah az darakht, kay rawa nabwat jo goyad neek bakht. He says that as a tree can say that I am your Lord, means tree is not Lord, but it is mother, feminine of Allah. Maris means appearance of speech of Allah. Similarly, a man can be a phenomenon of Allah, and Allah's speech can come out from a person. Hazrat Khwaja Jannat Baghdadi Rahmatullah Alayh, he was approached by a blind by birth and requested him, please make dua for the restoration of my eyes. He said, I am not in a position to pray for it. This is speciality of Jesus. I can restore the eyes. I can recover the birth. There is leprosy. Leprosy means birth. I can cure the leprosy. But this is not my job. And that blind person went away a few steps, and then he began to hit against the wall by head, and his head was badly injured. He said, "Oh my Lord, I approached you, you did not bless me, and I came to Wadiullah. He also disappointed me. So what can I do? I shall kill myself. I am going to commit suicide." So then there was an ecstasy wajid, ecstasy on Hazrat Khwaja Janad Baghdadi. And in that very position, he said, Nakhnu nafalu kaifa nasha. We are doing however we like and whatever we like. Who is Jesus and who are you? We have been doing there. It was me. And I shall do here. It would be me. It is not your job, not the job of Jesus. Then he requested him to come back when he was normal. So he, he massaged his two eyes, which are blind by birth. Then two drops of the tears came out, and, instead of the drops of the tear, the eyeballs appeared in the eye sockets, and both of the eyes began to work. So here Rumi says, Chun rawab bashad anallah az darakht, kay rawa nabwat jugoyad nek bakht. So it was Gabriel to take him to the shrine of Moses, and after that to the cave of Moses, may grace and peace of Allah be upon him, which was a place of isolation of Moses. Yar yaran wal jaan hai kalle, ora mool na khੜਦੇ, ਤੋੜੇ ਸੰਗ ਸਹੇਲੀ ਹੋਵੇ, ਵਾਕਿਫ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੀ, ਪਰ ਦਿਲ ਭਰ ਕੋਲ ਗਿਓ ਨਾ ਪਾਵੇ, ਸਮਝੋ ਰਬ ਅਸਲ ਦੀ. So that was a place of isolation. Then he satisfied himself and asked him to take away from there. Then Nabi Karim was brought to the Baitul Lahm, which is called Bethlehem. That is very near to the mosque of Masjid Aqsa. Quran says, Allazi barakna hawlahu. That Masjid Aqsa, the environment of which is blessed with the blessings of Allah. Here, Nabi Karim said 2 rakat genuflection of nafil, additional prayer. He did 2 genuflection of additional prayer and prayed for his ummah. So, Mawlid Nabi, it means that the people of Mecca and all of the Muslim world come to Mecca Sharif and go to visit the Mawlid Sharif. Mawlid Ashraf Ali Thanvi says that, so this is enough proof for the standing at the time of Salatu Salam, that the people of Haramain Sharifain, they go there, they stand there, and they send Salat and Salam to Nabi Karim Sallallahu. He said, I stood there, I sent Salam and Salat, and enjoyed very differently. So it means that the people who are forbidding the people, their forefathers were practicing it. It was lawful. So this was Sunnah of Nabi Karim Sallallahu. Nabi Karim went to the Bethlehem, and Quran says, Allazi barakna hawlahu. The environment of total environment of that mosque is full of blessing. Look, all of the mosques, their internal side of mosque is always blessed. But what is the reason for Baitul Maqdis that external atmosphere of total mosque is very blissful? The answer is, the most of the prophets were born there, were buried there. It is just to assure that the shrine of the prophets is a center of blessing of Allah. Means inside is my house and outside of my yaran, my Ambiya's house. So this is the main reason that the house of beloved is more beautiful and more attractive for the lover. He prefers the house of the beloved when a beloved analyzes the dignity of the places. He prefers the house of his beloved. to his own house. Just like Quran says, La uqsama bi hadil balade, wa anta hillum bi hadil balad. O my holy Prophet, I am swearing by the total house, but not on account of Kaaba Sharif. That was the swear, that was oath of allegiance by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran says that I swear, La uqsama bi hadil balad, wa anta hillum bi hadil. I am swearing this city, but not on account of Kaaba Sharif, but not on account of Hajar Aswad, not on account of Mutaf Sharif, not on account of Masjid Haram, not on account of Abi Zamzam. I am just swearing because you are living here. Kaaba Sharif is my house, and your living house is your abode. So I prefer your house. So this is when it was disputed whether Makkah Sharif Afzal is preferable or Medina Tayyiba. The answer is, before the migration from Mecca to Medina, Mecca was Afzal, because the reason of Afzaliyat, the preferability, priority, was the residence of Nabi Karim Rasul. When Nabi Karim Rasul migrated from Mecca to Medina, the reason of priority was transferred from Mecca to Medina. Therefore, we shall prefer it. وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.